At my ex-wife's wedding, her entire family laughed at me, mocked me like I wasn't even standing there. It wasn't just awkward or mean-spirited. It was deliberate. Between the clinking of glasses and the bass of the music vibrating through the floor, I heard something shift. A ripple of laughter that felt personal. That's when I heard someone say it. How pathetic it was to watch another man claim my family. Some of them even clapped. Her cousins, her uncles, even faces I once called friends. I stood there with a glass of water in my hand, like it could shield me from their contempt. Then I felt a tug on my sleeve. Urgent. Small. My son's voice barely cut through the music. Dad, we need to leave now. Something's wrong. I looked at him, and his eyes didn't match the room. They were wide, scared, too aware for a 10-year-old. I nodded. There was nothing left to say. We slipped out without anyone noticing. They were too busy celebrating the man who replaced me. On the drive home, my son stared out the window. Quiet. I kept thinking about the laughter. How familiar it was. Not in sound, but in feeling. The same kind of cruel irony life throws at you when you believe love is enough. I built that family. Maybe not by blood, but brick by brick. With every overtime hour, every sleepless night beside a sick child, every argument I let slide to keep the peace. I fixed leaks, patched the roof, hammered shelves with splinters cutting into my palms. She never asked me to, but love doesn't need instruction. There wasn't a single day I didn't put them ahead of myself. I wore the same shoes for 5 years, so my son could have better ones. Turned down promotions because they meant longer hours away from home. I never saw it as sacrifice. I thought it was just what men did for their families. You don't notice the drift while it's happening. It's slow, like water against stone. The dinners get quieter. The texts go unanswered. The look in her eyes changes, not of anger, but emptiness, like your furniture. Useful, unremarkable. I asked once if something was wrong. She said she was tired. That word again, tired. Then she started coming home late. Friends, work events, gym classes. I wasn't stupid, but I still told myself maybe it was fixable. So I tried harder, and somehow that only made me smaller in her eyes. There was no big fight when it ended. No final plea. Just papers left on the kitchen counter next to the groceries I'd bought that morning. She didn't even wait to see if I'd signed them. I did. Quietly. Because you can't argue someone into loving you. I kept my dignity. At the time, I thought that still meant something. Then came the wedding. Her fresh start. She invited me. Probably out of obligation. Or pity. Or maybe just to show how far she'd come. I went for my son. He wanted to see her happy. But as I stood there, surrounded by people I used to know, hearing them laugh like that, I realized pity is worse than hate. But when my son grabbed my sleeve, it wasn't just fear in his eyes. It was something sharper. I asked him later what he meant. He said he overheard her new husband joking with some friends. Said I was too pathetic to fight back. That if I hadn't been such a weak man, I might still have my family. Weak. That was the word they pinned on me. I didn't sleep that night, or the one after. But in that silence, I remembered something. I may have been quiet, but I was never weak. I'd spent years watching, listening. And people show you who they really are when they think you're too dull to notice. So I made some quiet calls. I still had contacts. I knew things about her new husband, risky investments, shady debt masked behind flashy assets. He looked polished on the outside, custom suits, luxury cars, but I'd seen his foundation, and it was cracked. It didn't happen overnight. I wasn't in a hurry. One by one, I made sure the right people started looking at his business. Audits, red flags, partnerships collapsed, creditors came knocking, the cars were sold, then the house. I never said a word to him, never confronted her. I didn't need to. Whispers started. The same people who once laughed at me now spoke his name with hesitation. I saw her once at the grocery store. She looked tired. That word again. She asked if I had anything to do with it. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Silence can say everything. My son never asked, but he knew. He started looking at me differently, not just with love, but respect, like maybe I wasn't what they said I was. I didn't take anything from them. Not their house, not their name, not their dignity. Life did that on its own. I just nudged the first domino. And when it all came down, I stayed exactly where I'd always been, steady, silent. Sometimes the loudest revenge is never raising your voice. It's standing so still, so calmly, that when they finally fall, the only thing they hear is their own echo.